So, soft skills, guys. Hard skills, soft skills, everybody needs skills. So, let's just see. I'll just run through this quickly because, we all know the rules. The idea is that we participate and being a small group. What's up, Gustavo? I didn't see you go right there. Um, the fact that we're a
Hi.
small group makes it even more fun because we can interact, we can share stories, we can talk, we can, hang out together. And, well, obviously, at all costs, we will speak English, at all costs. So, I think you guys all have seen me before, but I'm Aaron. I'm 30 years old from New Mexico, United States. I grew up in a region that we lovingly call the borderland because I grew up in a triad of cities that is Las Cruces, El Paso, and Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. And so I've lived here for the past 7 years. And I've been teaching English for like 3 years now, or 4 years now officially. It's been a long time. And I'm also Yankee teacher online, if you don't know that.
Yeah, and I'm Tim, and I'm not 30 years old, and
You once
I'm
were.
not American either. I'm from Leicester in England, and yeah, I've been with doing this for the last 2 or 3 years as well. So I'm also a business advisor and a writer, and I will at the end of the um, session be sharing my webpage with you because today I put up an article on exactly the use of language and the use of vocabulary and the way that it can be distorted in any way you want to,
For good or for bad, huh? Hmm.
for good and for bad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, are you also a thespian?
Sorry?
Are you also a thespian?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as Sandra very kindly said, we just finished doing the Crucible, and I got to hang quite a lot of people as a judge. So lovely, good fun.
Nice. His wish to rule has been satisfied.
Yeah.
All right. So the idea is that by the end of this hour together, we're gonna realize and understand why humor matters when we're trying to be professional, because it's not all about being like in a box, like full of cardboard, but we want to be able to really be ourselves. And so humor is a good way to really find ourselves and our own voice in our speech. And so there are different types of workplace humor. Not every joke goes over well in every single situation. So we're gonna have a lot of consciousness about different registers. If you're talking to the secretary, you can kind of be a little bit more, honky wonky. And if you're talking to your boss or to a client, maybe you're not going to be so honky wonky. Um, and we don't want to sound forced. Nobody wants to sound forced. That's the thing. So the idea is to find certain humor aspects and communication styles that you feel proper and you feel personal, because that way you can keep them in your pocket and not have to like, keep a list next to your computer of jokes to make when the time comes, because that doesn't sound good. And we don't want to make any mistakes, no, because you can't really, things that go over as jokes in Argentina would definitely not go over in the United States, vice versa. Certain names, certain references. Maybe we'll see this more later, but I think like football and soccer references, you can't really use those like you can with people not from Argentina for obvious reasons. And then also to build rapport, because the idea is if you laugh with somebody, you're going to feel closer to them and they're going to trust you more. And so it's actually a really fun topic. Okay, go for it, Tim.
No, no, thank you. But just the point. I think. Can you go back on the
Sure.
slide, Aaron?
Gotcha.
I mean, avoid human mistakes in international environments, etc. And the main point with using humor, and I do it all the time. I mean, I cannot be serious for more than 1 minute, except when you need to be serious. And you also need to know, and the fundamental thing for me, who are you talking to? It's a bit like anything you do. You prepare a subject. Are you talking to I have an autistic student. I cannot make any jokes with him because he doesn't understand them, or it unsettles him. It makes him feel unsure, and I cannot do that with him. So I would be
Hmm.
really stupid if and worse than stupid, I'd be very insensitive if I start making jokes with somebody I know is not going to like it. So it's really important. Anything you do, who are you talking to? Who is receiving your message? And then you can decide how the message, what it should be, and how it should be delivered. But if you don't know who you're talking to, then you can make a lot of mistakes. So it's really worth, establishing before what is the environment and who am I talking to. Sorry, there endeth the
Oh
lesson.
yeah. Wait, Tim, so my question for you is, has it happened a lot since you British people are very clever and cheeky that not a lot of people understand, and sometimes you crack a joke or you make a wise crack and people say, yeah,
Yeah.
and they
I
don't
mean,
laugh.
let me give you an example of that. We have a sort of drinking group, if you like, which meets once a week, twice. It's informal. One of the guys there is a senior director of a major car company. He has no sense of humor. He does not get British humor. So if I make a perfectly innocent joke in my eyes and everybody else is laughing, he feels that I am attacking him.
Oh no, that's
So
terrible.
I have to avoid it. I have to think, hang on a minute, I cannot make this joke to this person because he will not understand it. And when people don't understand something, they feel threatened. And
And
it's
the,
not worth it. It's not
and the
worth
worst
it.
part is if everybody else laughs and he doesn't, it makes it feel worse.
Exactly, because he takes it as it's against him. And it's not
And he
against
feels
him.
left out. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big one. That's a big
absolutely.
one. I think it's like, well, we'll get into some more things, but one classic American joke that we say when someone asks, "Hey, how's your week going?" or "How have you been?" or "How's everything?" And we say, "Living the dream." Living the dream. It's like sarcastic, but you're not like really literally living the dream, but you're not going to complain about what you want to complain about. Just here, living the dream.
Absolutely.
And then you always follow it up with, living the dream, something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. So whenever you're ready.
So, yeah, okay. Funny. Here, please, on the chat, answer this. Do you find this funny? Your manager says, well, that meeting could have been an email. And someone says, don't worry, there will be no surprise quiz at the end. I don't even find that very funny, to be honest. But would you find it funny or unprofessional?
I would find it funny. Yeah. Ah, I don't
Okay,
know.
and all right, moving on to number two. A co-worker joins late and says, sorry, my Wi-Fi and motivation disappeared at the same time. That person is probably not having a good day.
No. Well, at least he said Wi-Fi and not my wife, huh? Um,
Well,
yeah, he probably wouldn't say that. He wouldn't announce that part, right? So I think as far as the quiz one goes, I think it is kind of funny to a certain extent, but then it also um could make it so people won't pay full attention. Because if you tell them, don't worry, there's not going to be a quiz at the end, they're going to say, oh, then it must not be very important. And it really could have been an email.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think timing is also a good one when it comes to being humorous, because you have to be really careful. Um, these things just keep coming to my mind. But another one that I think of that is like very classic, and I don't know if you have this in England, but you sign on to a meeting with somebody and they say, "Hey, how's it going? Working hard or hardly working?" Do you guys say
No,
that?
no, no.
Yeah, we
We
say
no,
that
we
a
don't
lot.
say that. No,
Sometimes I
no.
ask
But
my
yeah,
students that and they don't always understand. I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Alejandra? You working hard or hardly working?" And they're like,
well,
"I'm
that
working."
is it's what we were saying before about knowing who you are talking to, because sometimes, I've done it as well. I make a joke and I think, Tim, why did you make that joke? You're now going to have to spend 30 minutes
Explaining it.
explaining it. Sometimes, Tim, less is more. Shut up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I have just a quick question for you guys. If your Wi-Fi or something on your computer is acting up, what is the classic phrase that we say to request patience? I know Tim knows. I know Sandra probably knows. When I'm asking you to maybe tolerate this space, this empty space with me.
I would say, for example, Aaron, give me one, or give me two, or give me whatever time I think, give me five, for example.
Give me a sec. Yeah. Bear
Please,
with
please.
me is one that we say a
Yeah,
lot.
very good. Yep.
I don't know if it's
That's
bear, B-A-R-E or B-E-A-R. I don't know that much, but it's bear with me while I fix my computer. All right, give me a second. Bear with me. Sorry. Let me find the file. Things like that. So, the reasons that humor works at work is because obviously, I mean, work every single day of your life is not always like rainbows and butterflies. And so sometimes like comical relief can really make your day. And so it reduces stress. When you laugh with somebody, it creates more connection. It builds trust. If you can kind of make a wisecrack with your coworker, you guys are gonna have like you guys are gonna be uh um there's a word that we use. I don't want to say cómplices, but we say uh in
Yeah.
cahoots with each other. When you're in
Yep.
cahoots, you collaborate on jokes and stuff. They're in cahoots to do something. It improves teamwork because you feel more comfortable, you kind of relax, and you increase attention and memory because if someone tells you something, then you're gonna remember it. There you go. Bear with me with a bear. Um, and so it just increases overall goodness, and then it helps difficult conversations feel safer. Because if we're having a difficult conversation and we can close it out with a nice wisecrack, I mean, that just makes it better. You know what I mean? And we'll just make a joke about what might have been a mistake. But bad humor, in turn, can damage your credibility, can make you seem out of touch, and can make you seem insensitive. So, like Tim said with his student who is on the spectrum, you have to really watch out because I know British people, you guys are very sarcastic, and autism and sarcasm do not go well together. And so you have to be really, really, you have to essentially walk on eggshells whenever you are
Yep.
speaking because even like without trying, you might say, "Oh yeah, and it was the best day of my life when I got my car towed." And then he'll be like, "What do you mean? If you got your car towed, why would it be the best day in your life?" You know what I mean? And so you have to be really, really careful, I imagine. And like Tim said too, to not exclude people. This happens a lot in mixed language groups where maybe some people are really advanced and others are not so advanced. And so like us as facilitators, we have to kind of be able to read the room and know if somebody makes a joke that nobody's really going to understand, like let it pass and acknowledge that person, but not go deeper, you know? And we don't want to create any misunderstandings. So like if what to me is a joke, but to you might be a touchy subject, or even when it comes to things like triggers for trauma and things like that, you have to be really, really careful. And we don't want to sound immature. There's nothing worse than being in a suit making your mom jokes, those are just done.
Actually, I mean, let me give you an example there, Aaron. I mean, this is again, I've got an Irish friend who's a teacher as well, actually, and he made a comment one day. We were talking to a guy who was 87 years old, and this man, a very nice man, he says his wife wants to totally redo the kitchen. You know, a total rebuilding job of the kitchen is 3 to 4 months with builders in there, and it was winter. And he said, Tim, I really do not want to redo the kitchen, but my wife wants to. And I think, yeah, I can understand that. But my friend actually said, well, Brian, yes, I understand that because you haven't got very long to live. So why would you want to live? Yeah, right. I just looked at my friend and I'm like, what? You
Why
cannot
the heck
say
would
that.
you say that? Oh my
I mean, it's
gosh.
quite amusing, but probably not for Brian. Anyway,
What did zero say to number eight? Well, it's not the 789 one. I know that, is it? Ah, a nice belt. Got him. Because do you guys know what we're saying along those lines when you have a nice belt that cinches you and gives you a figure? We say that your waist is, I wonder if you know this one, Tim, snatched. Because it's snatched. And
no,
she was
and
all snatched up.
put it this way: nobody's said that to me in the last few years.
You just have to watch out for snatchers of your phone, huh? Not waist
Oh,
snatchers. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what about the golden rule?
Yeah, of professional humor. Humor should include people, not attack people. You know, the idea is we laugh with people, not at people. And the difference is really, really, really big. And we will come on to what I believe is the best way of doing that because we will be looking at it in a bit. So I'll leave that one go. But
Hmm.
good workplace usually is light. I mean, it needs to be. You're working. I mean, you can't get really heavy humor because you're already with heavy stuff normally. It's
Yeah.
relatable. People can just feel comfortable with it. We laugh exactly. We laugh at situations, not individuals. I mean, I had this with my children. Sometimes I remember, but my parents taught me this actually, that you deal with the situation and not the individual. And for example, my son was so capable of doing so many stupid things but I would never call him stupid. I would say, don't you think that kicking the football through the glass window was not the best thing to do? But you are attacking the ball going through the window and not the person, you know, and that's important. And it does. It's like what you said before. It creates a connection. You laugh together. If you're laughing with people, just think about it. You're laughing with people together, and that always creates a connection. And when it creates a connection, it feels natural, and it just comes.
So I something that I've been thinking about that I always I have a couple of students who I'm teaching Spanish to that either have like moved to Argentina or they're trying to speak to their partners who are Argentinian in the United States. And one thing that at least for us Americans is kind of shocking whenever we actually get to know Argentines and Spanish from Argentina is that Argentinians' way of joking is always third person hypothetical situations that didn't happen. And so certain jokes like, oh, if my mate kind of tumbles like this, and then people are gonna make a joke, imagine if it fell. Ha 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 ha. Could you imagine your face if the mate fell actually, but it didn't? And so sometimes that type of humor, you have to be really careful because if you go and say, oh, imagine if your mate fell, and an American will be like, yeah, but it didn't. So what?
Yeah, well,
Thank
absolutely.
God it
I'd be
didn't.
thinking, no, no, I agree. I'd be thinking, why the hell should I want to imagine that? It didn't happen, you
Yeah,
know?
why should I think about that? And so I just that's one thing that really gets me about Argentine comedy and humor is the fact that it's always like maybe because like life is really difficult anyway, and there's always so much stuff going on outside in the world, so we laugh about things that we can control or situations that might have happened that didn't because so much things do happen on a daily basis. And so I always think that's really funny, and I have to explain that humor to foreign people of being like, well, if you ever want to make an Argentine laugh, just take something that happened, ask the question, what if it didn't? And everybody will laugh. Or what if something did? So there's different types of humor. Self-deprecating is usually safe because it is all about yourself. So you kind of like hating on yourself, right? Or I know on social media, for example, a lot of people are kind of excusing their bad behavior and, tripping it up to free will. And so they said, because I have free will, I went and ate six media lunas while I was waiting for the bus because, I have free will. And so it's almost like people are going to laugh at you because you're kind of making a fool of yourself. And so self-deprecating humor is always like, technology and I are in a toxic relationship. Or now a lot of people are online talking about my toxic trait is never closing Windows tabs. That's my toxic trait. You know what I mean? Or now we're talking about it a lot with like intrusive thoughts. Whenever you let your intrusive thoughts win, and maybe you throw the trash on the ground and not in the trash because it's an intrusive thought. And so those are always pretty safe because it's all centered on yourself and you're giving people the chance to laugh at you because they're laughing with you at yourself, and we're not making
Absolutely.
fun. So I always think about it like making fun with somebody is versus making fun of somebody because that's not good. What about when it comes to observational? What do you think about that one, Tim? Can you think of any examples?
Well, that's very Seinfeld, isn't it? I mean, showing my age there. Yeah, observational humor is always good because it's something you can look at together from outside, if you like. So you're not attacking anyone. It's always you're laughing at something or an event or whatever, and you're just quite simply making observations about it, and it's very very safe, very safe. Yes.
So I lately the past couple months I've been working with a lot of people from India. I don't know if I said this last time, but really what really is really interesting to me is that in the West, we usually say, "Can you hear me? Is my mic on? Like, can you all hear me?" But in India, they say, "Am I audible? Am I audible? Oh, am I audible now?" And I'm like, yeah, yeah, Satar, you're audible for sure. Yeah, I can hear you. And the way that they just like, it's the exact same thing, but I would have never in my whole life thought to ask, am I audible? I don't even use that word. You know what I mean? Audible for me
Oh,
is a book service where they read you audiobooks. It's not audible like to be able to hear. So I think that's amazing because I understood exactly, but it's new to me? Um, I imagine that's how like really like older people feel like grandmas and grandpas about new words that come out. Because sometimes I talk to my suegros and I was like, Ugo, do you know what this and this means? And he's like, yeah, it means what the literal meaning means. And I was like, but now do you know what it means? And, and they don't understand certain terms or like usages. And so I feel like those types of things is how other people must feel when they hear new terms, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, Aaron, you don't need to be old to feel like that, you know?
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like that all the time with the new words. I'm like, I need to Google things all the time. Like,
Yeah. It's like, why can't we just say what was always been said? What's wrong with what has been always said, you know? What I don't get is how young people now they're saying when something is really good quality, they're saying it's gov. Like what? Where did that come from? You know what I mean? No, the Media Luna from this place across the street is gov. And I'm just like, what? No, guys. So,
Yeah.
our resident Brit, what do you have to say about sarcasm?
Ah, well, the British are very sarcastic. I prefer irony to sarcasm. When I was younger, I would definitely prefer sarcasm because I was a lot nastier back then. But now I've got old and a bit, grandfatherish, so I use it a bit less. But I think this one really goes together with the first one, which is the point I was going to make before. Self-deprecation is a brilliant way of bringing humor in. You make a joke about yourself, and it shows that you do not take yourself too seriously. So then, when you go on to be mildly sarcastic about somebody else, they will accept it because you've already said it about yourself. I mean, sometimes I would be saying, it's just an example. I say, well, am I explaining myself well? Because sometimes I can be incredibly stupid. And that immediately makes me the stupid person and not them. Nobody else is a stupid person. I accept it. So that means we can start in that kind of revelation. That's self-deprecation. But sarcasm is, unless you really know the person, be very careful. I mean, if you look at the comment, Aaron, it says, great, another meeting that could have been an email. Yeah, when you come out of the meeting to your colleague and friend, you can say that. And it's not a bad comment. If you actually finish it and say to the guy who called, the director who called the meeting, then that's not too high on the emotional, what do you call it, intelligence levels. It's like, not good.
So what we say too, like going along those lines, is something like that would not sit well. Hmm? Yeah,
Yep.
it's not acceptable. It's not gonna sit well with your boss.
Yeah.
Another, I guess like example that comes to my mind is maybe there's sometimes like relationships, like work relationships with people that maybe even though you work remotely, you have a call with them every single day. So you literally see them face to face virtually every single day. And so, if you see that that person is like always in the middle of the call goes to refill their thermos because they ran out of mate and they come back and they're gonna say, "Oh, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go get some water. Be right back." Whatever. And whenever they come back, you're like, "Big fan, huh?" You know? Ah, you must be thirsty. Something like that is like an acceptable sarcasm because it's an innocent thing, and I've seen you drink 2 thermoses in the past 30 minutes. You must be really thirsty, huh? Did you run out of water? Something like that, you know? Did they shut
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
your water? And those kind of jokes are really fun and innocent. Okay, inside jokes. This is so you can think of how I said earlier in cahoots. Whenever you have an inside joke with somebody, you are in cahoots with them about something. Or maybe, for example, Sandra, who's going to visit her sister, before she found out that you were coming and it was supposed to be a surprise, you were in cahoots with the rest of the family to organize everything and not tell her, right? And then, bueno, it came to light that you were coming and she's probably really excited. So sometimes inside jokes are good, but it usually comes with more rapport. Like you won't have an inside joke with somebody on the first day. Like together, me and Clary and Tim might have a couple inside jokes because we've been working together for a long time, but like with all of you, I don't see you often. So there's really no way we could have inside jokes. You know what I mean? Because we
No.
don't, we don't share environments.
I mean, sometimes just to add something there, I mean, you can have an inside joke in a group, but the other people who do not understand the joke must not know that you are joking. Because if you
Hmm.
start laughing, sometimes I do it with my friends. We just look at each other and we both know what we are thinking. We are both laughing inside, but if we laugh out loud, we are immediately putting barriers to other people.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
are creating what is called a wonderful French word, a clique. We become
A
a clique,
click.
and clique,
Yeah, you can become a click.
you
Exactly. I
become
didn't
a
know that
clique.
was French.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Do you guys use the word click like in school exclusively or in general?
No, in anything. I mean, if you say, "Oh, this group is very cliquey," it means there's a little group within a bigger group who stick to themselves and leave everybody out. You know?
That is that is so wild that you say clique because
Yeah,
in America we say click, like click, you know? Isn't
yeah,
that
I
crazy?
know, but a clique, but it's QUE, QUE. The spelling is clique. I mean, that's why I say it's French originally.
Wait,
So
it's not CLIQUE. It is, yeah.
yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Like
CLIQUE.
that's America for you, just ruining
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
Also, when you think about it too, so I can imagine people that work between the United States and England, they probably have a lot of these like types of stories because like our cultures like kind of run parallel but on different levels, you know, because British people they're like more eloquent, like they call it horse riding and we call it horseback riding, you know, or they call it the tap, which gives you tap water, and we call it the faucet, which gives you tap water. Things like that that are just so natural to each of us respectively that whenever they mix, you never realize that they're a problem or that they're a thing until um oh, Gustavo had to go. His boss was calling. Duty calls, duty calls. Um, so yeah, when it comes to inside jokes, sometimes, you know, between cultures, you can share those things. I'm sure Argentines with people from Uruguay, there's a lot of inside jokes. You know, Uruguay is just another province. Argentines probably joke about that all the time when they visit Uruguay, but they're not going to do it so openly because they might offend somebody, you know? Dark humor. Have we gone over that one? That one's tough. You have to be really careful with dark humor because that's where racism could get involved. That's where bigotry could become a thing. That's where ignorance shows. And so this is where you have to be really careful, especially in the United States, which is just full of cancel culture. You cannot say, hey gordo, hey negro, like none of that at all, even in the most loving way. Um, it sounds bad because we're very literal. Americans are very literal. And so if you call somebody, hey, little fatty, what's up? That is not going to go over. You know what I mean? And so just be really careful with
yeah.
dark humor. It's really dangerous. And cultural jokes. Naturally, let's avoid them. You know, Argentines only eat empanadas and pasta. That's not true. You know, people always make jokes about that. Argentines are always sucking on a mate. That's also not true, but people think that, you know. Um,
Yeah.
Americans are all rich. People think that too, and that's not a good one. That Americans are cold, we get that all the time. And then to think that British people are colder than us. So how must British people be seen in the world, you know, if they think Americans are cold? Imagine that. So I would just avoid culture in general. What do you think,
Yeah.
Tim?
No, I think that's a very good point you made before. I mean, there's been high profile cases in England in soccer, for you, Alan, soccer, football, whereby I think they both involved two or three Uruguayans, actually, more than, and Argentines. And they're talking about, and one of them wished, I think it was Cavani, Edwin Cavani of Uruguay, sort of said, "Happy birthday, Negro," to one of his Uruguayan teammates. And he got banned for 6 games because it was taken in the UK as, Negro, and you are being depreciative, if you like. And no,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you do as well, Aaron. I have a problem with that actually because I mean I've got a friend. One of my best friend here is very dark skinned. One of my best Argentine friends. He's very dark skinned and he's pretty fat, to be honest. I mean that is an observation. It
He's heavy
is.
set, we could say.
Yeah, he's very heavy set, if you like. Very good word. Excellent. But I know I never do it because in England we wouldn't do it. But people call him El Negro Marcelo. And then somebody else will say El Gordo Marcelo. I mean, he gets hit from both sides, if you like. But I mean, and here it's cariño, it's said lovingly. So
Yeah.
yeah, chubby, good word, Sandra, chubby.
Chubby's a
Yeah,
good one, yeah. Have you ever heard the word tubby? Like a Teletubby?
yeah,
So basically, a tubby is like a synonym for chubby. But tubby is more just like chubby is like kind of all over. Like a baby is very chubby. Whereas like someone who's tubby is more like a stomach, is
yeah.
belly. You know, he's tubby. But that's why Teletubby, because the television was in their tummy, you know? Um,
Don't,
yeah, I just
don't
think
get me
it
going on Tinky Winky and Dipsy, Aaron, please.
wait on what?
Tinky Winky, Dipsy, Lala, and Paul. They're the Teletubbies. Ha!
Oh, Tinky Winky. Oh, I didn't see Teletubbies to know. I did,
I
but I
know.
don't remember. Tinky Winky.
I didn't watch it for me. I watched it with my kids when they were young, put it that way. But I
So
did know the song off by heart. So,
you were a
yeah.
passive consumer, just like a secondhand smoker. He was a secondhand consumer.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's see how self-deprecating humor works. And it's not always because a lot of people might confuse like self-deprecation with like putting yourself down. But putting yourself down is like actively criticizing. Oh, my forehead is so big. I hate it. Oh, my clothes are so ugly. Like that's not self-deprecating humor. That's just being rude to yourself. Self-deprecating humor is like I have really high prescription in my glasses, right? For example. And so then if someone is on a Zoom call and they're like, hey, can you see my screen? And I'm like, yeah, I pay enough money to my optometrist to see. Something like that, because I'm making a joke about my blindness. And so it's like, yeah, with all the money I pay to the eye doctor, I hope I do, something like that. So let's go to this link and see what we got and we'll talk about it. Okay, are you guys ready? It should have audio, so just let me know.
Thank you. Yeah. You laughed a little bit, then you looked down and laughed more like you felt bad for me. And then you gave me a thumbs up, which somehow made it worse. Thank you. Yeah. You laughed a little bit, then you looked down and laughed more like you felt bad for me. And then you gave me a thumbs up, which somehow made it worse.
What do you guys think about that?
Very good.
Pretty good,
And you
huh?
can hear the way people are reacting because he's laughing at himself with them.
Exactly. So as you see, that is really good because it makes him human, it makes him approachable. It kind of lowers the walls that people build, especially in a comedy environment. Like you cannot have any walls up because you are the material and you have to let people laugh at you, because that's your job essentially. And so it makes you easier to trust because if I'm willing to laugh about myself, I'm giving you the opportunity to not only like laugh at yourself, but also like to laugh at me with me. And so um I opened 14 tabs and now I live here. Do you think this means like bar tab or like a browser tab?
Well, I definitely know what mine would be. Bar tab.
A bar, a pub. I need
Yeah.
coffee beans before I can answer strategic questions. Oh no, yeah, that's a big one. Mate. I need mate before I can even say hello. I prepared this presentation emotionally, not technically. That's a good one. That's a good one. And it's really important to not overdo it. So if I were to make that joke about my glasses, that would probably be the only joke I would make in that time. You know what I mean? Like I would never joke about two things because I don't want to give people ammunition to laugh at me later. You know what I mean? I need to be in control of the laughing of myself. And so just be careful because you have to be confident. You have to, if you're gonna go for it, like put it in fifth gear and just go for it. And because if you go and you get cold feet halfway through, it just makes you look bad. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna go for it, go pedal to the metal, like we say. Yeah,
Yeah.
pedal to the metal. Okay.
Okay.
What
You're
about
on.
this one though? It's terrible. I hate when it happens.
You're on mute is basically the soundtrack of remote work. Well, yeah, we all hear that all the time. The
You're
fake
not on.
freeze. Everyone has pretended the internet froze at least once. Yeah, but actually it does happen. And the camera off energy. Sorry, my camera isn't working today. Translation, I look terrible. Yeah. But I must admit that I get very irritated if I give a class or something and people do not put on their cameras. Because I think you will find the same thing, Aaron. You need to see people's mouths moving. You need to see their faces. I mean, if you have your camera off, you are working only with your ears. You cannot see emotions. You cannot see,
Mhm.
anything, and you cannot see the mouth moving, and that really makes it very difficult.
Yeah, it's true. Because especially like in language classes, and
Yeah,
especially when it comes to like muscle memory of saying things, like it's very important to move the mouth or to like if I show you no, it's B, like show me B versus V, those types of things, like the image is everything. And it also kind of like makes it really like impersonal Because if you're not gonna put on
Yeah.
your camera, like I might as well just call you on the phone. You know what I mean? But then why would I share my screen to show you stuff? Or why would I take a shower before coming to work to like look presentable? You know what I mean? And so I
But I
think
mean,
it
I'm sure you do the same thing. And you know, when you're with you're in a class and you're talking about vocabulary or something, you're reading something, whatever it is, and you say to somebody, "Well, can you explain what this word means?" And they're like, "I don't know." No, 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 Pat, that's not what I'm asking you. Can you use the context and give me your best idea of what you think it could mean? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it big? Is it small? What do you think?
yeah,
Now, you do not have the context if somebody's camera is off. You know,
true.
sometimes you can see and somebody's laughing, then you know everything's okay. And if you can't see them, then you don't know everything's okay. So you're
Mhm.
removing a lot of the elements of the context, which is so important, especially in international meetings where you have different cultures. You need all the traffic lights on. You need every light on your control panel. So
Mhm. True. And it's also like, I think whenever the camera's on, you like the person on the other end will have a lot more patience. And so, like, maybe if you're delaying in your response, but they kind of see, like, oh, shit, they got a phone call. I'll give it. And then they just literally, it's like, 1 second, please. And then they talk to on their phone, or like, someone
yeah,
brings them a snack and they're thanking that person. Like, you're going to see what's going on. So you're not just literally left in the dark. That's okay, Veer. We're not attacking you. Don't worry. It's not against you. No, it's just in general. This is in general. I'm sure you use the camera.
yeah, yeah.
We were just roasting her, imagine. There's an Argentine sense of humor. Imagine if we were just roasting her. Do you guys know what it means to roast somebody?
Yes,
When
actually,
you
I was thinking about that, Aaron, because I have a friend that lives in Buenos Aires and he's gay and he does stand-up comedy. And I was there when he was roasted, and it was so amazing.
roasts are intense, and you have to have a thick skin to get roasted. Does everybody shit, sorry. Does everybody know what it means when they roast you? Do you know what that means, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get put in the oven basically in a figurative way. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
not
are
in the
really
Argentine way.
taking you to pieces. They are really making jokes about you,
Yeah,
but
they rip you
it
apart.
can be in the nicest way possible as well.
Yeah. There's actually like I don't know if you guys are like RuPaul's Drag Race kind of coined a term where you read somebody, which is like a light version of roast. And so like a read would be someone commenting on the thickness of my eyeglasses. I hope you can see far with how thick your eyeglasses are. Like that's a read. Whereas Aaron is so blind he can't even drink mate without throwing it down the table. That's a roast. It's kind of more rude, and it like exposes you in ways that maybe aren't always good.
Yeah.
Wait, so Shanina, where do you live? If you don't live in Buenos Aires?
No, I live in Brazil. I live in
Oh, that's
Recife.
right.
Hmm.
So she's here.br. Okay. So when it comes to softening difficult situations, humor works. Humor is like ice on top of a burn. Yeah? So basically, instead of saying we have a serious problem, guys, we're in deep shiz. You can't say that, right? So this is not exactly the peaceful start to the weekend we were imagining. We're having a bit of trouble. Not the ship is sinking, but there's one hole in the floor. It's not sinking yet, but we gotta tape it up. Instead of saying everything is delayed, our timeline has become aspirational. Hmm? That's a really
Yeah.
good. Or whenever something is kind of like exaggerated and it's kind of not attainable or achievable, it's really out there. That timeline that she proposed, 2 weeks to do all of that, that's very out there. It's impossible, you know? Or it's very, I know you guys say this one more than we do, but you say it's very far-fetched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not feasible, Captain.
Yeah, it's a bit far-fetched. You probably went really
Yeah.
far. It's muy rebuscado. That's what that is. Um, keep out or enter. I'm a sign, not a cop. Do you guys know that in the United States, it could be very offensive to some people to call them cops? That's why if you're never sure, always just call them police officers or the police
Yeah.
because cop is almost like calling them a pig. Like people who hate the police, they call them pigs. And so to say, oh, you're gonna call the cops, Because you're on the other side of the calling of the cops. The person who calls the cops calls the police. The person who gets the cops called on them gets the cops called. Isn't that crazy? Okay, what about this on rewriting the joke?
I mean, this system is stupid is pretty basic. This system and
Yeah.
I are not communicating effectively today means there's something really wrong with this system. But you know what? I will say it's me as well, and it makes it more pleasant, you know.
Mm.
And have a go yourselves now. How good a funnier way, a lighter way of saying this meeting is endless. Sorry, let me make it even more self-deprecating. This webinar is endless. How would you say that nicely to us?
I have a couple ideas.
You're all too nice
Good.
people. This is a problem.
Yeah, come on. This is your time to practice.
We might
Yeah.
better watch the Lord of the Rings franchise in the middle of the meeting, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I could have watched the whole Lord of the Rings, but all this time we spent. Claro, something like that. It could be like, well, if we keep going at this rate, I'm gonna have to take the call from my bed. Something like that, you know?
Yeah. That's a
Bless
good
you.
one from Sander. This webinar could outlive us all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, particularly in my case, Sandra. Thank you.
Or you could say, if only this meeting was short-lived, you know? If only it was
Yeah, I mean,
short-lived, but it's not, you
in,
know?
well, one of the articles I wrote, well, the article I wrote today, actually published today, I refer back to my father. My father had a wonderful sense of humor, and which could be, I find it really funny. Maybe some people didn't, but they used to love my parents to give dinner parties and invite people around. But my father, when all good fun, but when he wanted people to leave, he would say, well, I'm having a really great time in my house, and I wish you were too. And not particularly subtle. My mother wanted to kill him, but I was laughing. I find it funny, actually. If I mean,
Yeah, that's really funny. Or it's like at the end of the night, instead of just turning on the lights, you'd be like, well, I bet, all right, take it easy. I bet, I bet your house at this hour is much nicer than mine. You know, something like that.
yeah,
Or if maybe for nobody reads emails anymore, I would be like, I think these people need glasses because they're not seeing anything that I
yeah,
write, you know, something like that. It's like, did these people not go to school? Do they not know how to read? That's more direct. That's more like explicit, you know? And then I have no idea what's happening. I would personally say I am very far removed. I'm
yeah,
very far removed from this. I'm sorry. I'm not understanding anything. And then you have to clarify, you know? That's a good
yeah,
one. That's a good
yeah.
one.
Oh, the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yeah, that's a big one. The lights are on, but nobody's home. So, just kidding, just joking, just messing around. Those are all synonyms, right? On a lighter note, or changing subjects, or well, with that being said, let's move on. Yeah? This is when a joke flops. That was my attempt at humor.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean,
I won't.
yeah, I mean, if you actually have to say that, then you're in trouble, really.
Yeah, you gotta just
It's like,
refrain. Yeah.
here we go. Open my mouth at the wrong time again. Okay.
Well, that's awkward. I mean, this one, I would save it for like an inside joke thing because you're never gonna call out an awkward situation in front of whoever just made it awkward. You know what I mean? You're gonna talk about an awkward situation separately. That was pretty awkward. I mean, that was weird. Classic Monday energy. Typical. That's what you could
Yeah.
typical. Yeah, we survived. We got through that one. Hmm? We got through that one. That's a good one to kind of build rapport. Let's see. All right. Well, think about it. This is really simple. Now, like in Argentina, well, I know Yanina in Brazil, you cannot play around with black and fat and stuff like you can in Argentina. So you have
I
to
don't
be,
do that anyway because
yeah,
I'm very careful because racism and there are many, many things here you have to be careful about, but I do it everywhere, not just here. But
Yeah.
about humor and sarcasm, it's amazing because I cannot make any kind of jokes here, but nobody gets it. I try to do my best and I explain myself a lot, so I just stop doing it, Even if I
Yeah.
Yeah.
put a lot of effort into it because I love humor, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that sucks because you have to like limit yourself because you have to be really careful. You know what I mean? Like you literally have to
Yeah.
walk on eggshells at this point around jokes and stuff. So, I mean, in Argentina we have this really down, but like we avoid politics, unless it's like a really funny joke, that maybe everybody can understand. Like, I don't know. I always throw in Viva la Libertad, something like that whenever it's like a funny, ironic situation. I always say Viva la Libertad. Something like that, but I'm never gonna go further than that. You know what I mean? Religion?
Um,
No.
Sorry, I've got something here for Janina. This is a saying, a very English saying, actually, describing what you do. It's on the chart. Discretion is the better part of valor. Meaning, if in doubt,
Yes, Tim,
don't
but
don't say anything.
I'm Argentinian, and sometimes I want to make jokes so badly, and I have to, just like, don't say it, don't say it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I know. I wouldn't say the last part though. Well, that's actually crazy because I imagine maybe you could get away in Brazil, like just saying ah, like we say in Argentina, ah, and I think they'll get that,
No,
maybe.
but it's so funny because they use body language so much here, and it's the first thing that I had to learn because sometimes they just give you like, and they go and they say nothing, and you're like, and if you don't know, it's like it's so, you don't know what they are saying, so that's the first thing. And sometimes I can use humor just with my hands, you know,
Hmm.
but it's
Yeah.
their language, it's not mine.
So you're like a guest in their world, so you have to always like keep that in consciously, and that's like could be exhausting even because you're just trying to be free, and then you're like, oh shit, do I make a joke or no? Um,
And the worst thing is
so
that I speak Portuguese every day, and then at work I speak English, so I never speak Spanish. So when I try to speak Spanish, it's so funny.
it's become Brazilian. Yeah. Heavy sarcasm, let's avoid it. Stereotypes, let's avoid it. Jokes about appearance, big avoiding, super big avoiding. Thankfully, I think people are kind of getting into that. I mean, terms of endearment aside, people don't really talk about people's bodies anymore, thankfully.
unless again, it's about your own appearance. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, someday if I'm going to a meeting, they say, how will we, and we've never met, how will I recognize you? I say, well, just look for the oldest guy at the bar. It'll probably be me. You know, sadly, it normally is, but anyway, there we go.
Yeah. That's for another day. Uh, so safer topics, things that people always go through, like, oh God, the subway really sucks. I feel like a sardine in there. Or technology problems. Oh, I must not be audible. Bear with me. Shared experiences, when that happen, when X thing happens, and then learning moments, different things like that. Everybody has slip ups. Well, guys, we're literally out of town. Out of town. Does anybody out of time? Does anybody have any questions? Anyone share things before we go? Because you have the PDF of this, so you'll be able to keep it. Any thoughts?
Oh, thank you so much. It was so funny.
I loved it. Always. Have a safe trip, Sandra. Get there safe. Don't go to any
Thank you.
protests.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Stay safe.
I'll
Enjoy the
enjoy.
supermarket.
Enjoy.
Take a walk around Walmart for me.
Oh, I'll be going to BJ's. I don't know, many places.
Do they have Buc-ee's in North Carolina?
I have my Buc-ee's here. No, but I've seen that in Texas and on San Antonio.
Yeah, it's in a bunch of places. I don't know if it's in North
Yes,
Carolina.
I have my
Yeah.
pillow. I brought my pillow.
That's cool. Well, no, and take it easy, Janina. Have a coconut water for me if you can.
I will, I
A
promise.
cold one. Mhm.
Okay.
The
All right, take
caipirinha
it
for
easy,
me.
Pete.
I'm sorry,
Take-
Tim, I don't
Oh
drink
my gosh.
alcohol, but I can have another coconut for you if you want.
Yeah.
Coconuts. I love that.
Take it easy, Veer. Thanks for coming.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot. See
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
We'll see
Bye
you.
bye. Thank you all.